Today we're going to look at how to evaluate functions, specifically when we combine them together. That's this word here, composition. Okay, that's going to be a vocabulary word. What does that mean? And when we say composition, that just means combining two or more, so I'll say 2 plus functions. Okay, so when we combine 2 or more functions together. All right, that's what we're looking at. So some of the things you need to know is when we operate with functions, they work just kind of like you normally would assume here. So here, this is talking about the function f and the function g. So just imagine 2 equations. If we saw that, hey, we're adding these together, it's the same thing as breaking them apart and then combining like terms. Same thing as if it's wrote it this way, to subtract from f, the function g. It's the same thing as taking each and subtracting like terms. Product is multiplying, dividing is just like normal, except for the function g cannot be 0 because, as you know, math rule, you're never allowed to divide by 0. That would create a vertical asymptote. So let's look at this. So we have 2 functions here. Here's f, x squared minus 2x, and g, which is 3x minus 4. There's also h given, which is negative 2x squared plus 1. It says find the function and domain for f plus g. So here's what we do. We take our function f. So f equals x squared minus 2x. And we're going to add it to g. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to list this underneath, kind of like how you learn how to do addition, maybe in first or second grade, something like that, where you write them one on top of the other. And I'm going to put my like terms in the same place. So I'll have 3x minus 4. You see how I've written this? I did not fill in the x squared column. Now what I'll do is I'm going to add these up. So when you get add f plus g, what that would result in, and how you could write it is you could write it f plus g of x like this. That's kind of the symbol that you would write, f plus g. We would have x squared. Now, this is negative 2x plus 3x. So it's kind of like if money, I owe $2 to somebody, but I have 3 in my pocket. I still have 1 left over if I settle my debts. And then I subtract 4. This would be my answer there. All right, now let's try part B. So given those same 3 equations, find the function in the domain for f minus h of x. And I forgot to find the domain. We'll go back and do that in a second. So let's first write out the equations. So f of x here is x squared minus 2x. And we're going to subtract h of x. Now first I'm going to write out h of x, and I'll show you what to do with the subtraction. So it's negative 2x squared plus 1. All right, now let me put the line in. Now since we are subtracting those two, what that does is if you subtract, you're going to change every sign. So instead of this being a negative, it becomes a positive, and this now becomes a negative. All right, so that's how I change that. So when I go through, I would have parentheses f minus h of x would equal, I have 1x squared plus 2 more, so I have 3x squared minus 2x minus 1. That would be my equation there. And if I wanted to find the domain, it would be helpful if I think about what this picture would look like. This, we haven't talked about it yet, but you'll soon learn. I'm going to just give you a little introduction. This would look like a parabola because it's the highest power of x, and it's an even term, so it looks like a parabola. Since it's positive, it's an upward-facing parabola. Since my graph will resemble something like this, these would be the shifts from it. Since it would look like this, I can talk about the domain for the graph, because domain means how far left, how far right. Well, this would continue on forever to the left and forever to the right. So I'll list that its domain is negative infinity to positive infinity, or you could say it is all reals. Now let's go back to the previous problem, and we will do domain for that part A. Its domain, again, same thing. This is a parabola, and it's upward facing. So its domain would also be all reals. So from negative infinity to positive infinity, or, and this is set builder over here, this is interval notation there. That's how you'd write it those 2 ways. So now I got the domains for both of those. Let's look at part C. This time it says multiply. So I take, when you multiply, I'm going to write it different. What I will do is I'll write out the equation for f. Now that's f of x. And it equals that, okay? We're going to multiply that times h of x, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'll write out the h of x. I'm going to write it in a different color so we can see what's going on. It's negative 2x squared plus 1. Now, if you want to multiply these, what you're going to do is you're going to put these in parentheses and then multiply them across. So now, instead of, we don't multiply groupings one on top of the other. We usually go side by side and do FOIL. So now I've just moved this down this way. And so I have it written like that. Now let's FOIL. Now remember, FOIL means first times first, outside times outside, inside times inside, and last times last. So first times first, that right there gives me negative 2x to the 4th power. And you know what I'm realizing? I'm doing f of h right now. I'm sorry. I didn't copy down the right problem, but we'll go ahead and do this. So that's the f. Now I do outside times outside next. That's the I part. All right, so I have x squared times positive 1, so positive x squared. And then I do inside times inside. So I would have positive 4x to the 3rd power. And then I do last times last, which is given here. Negative 2x times positive 1 is negative 2x, like that. So when I put these together, that would be my equation there. And so I'll rewrite it though. Again, I messed up. Your f times h of x would equal negative 2x to the 4th. And we usually write by powers, order of powers. So then I would say plus 4x cubed plus x squared minus 2x. This again is a parabola, but this time it's facing downward because it's negative. So we would say the domain is the same as previous. And that would be our answers. Now I have one more here. And this time, I'll make sure we do these properly. It's h divided by f. All right? So when I write that out, I would put h on top. This time, I'm just going to write down the function, which is negative 2 x squared plus 1. And that would be divided by f, which is x squared minus 2x. If we can simplify, we'll do so. But as you might not know, you cannot cancel terms. You have to cancel factors. So you'd have to look to see if any factors can cancel. Up here, I don't even see any factors I can take out. Because of that, this does have a factor of x. So because that, this could not simplify. So it would just be written this way. But you'd have to say where this does factor. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But the denominator can never equal 0. That could factor as this. I pulled out an x. They both share. And so what would give me problems, according to the zero product property, is if x equals 0 or if x equal positive 2. In either situation, it has 0 in the denominator. I blow up. So I'm going to come back up here and say where x cannot equal 0 or 2. And that would be my answer there. Now you try one.